Hello, I'm watering my violets. Do you like violets? I sure do. Whenever I water my violets, I always put the water into the little dish and then put the pot into the water, and the roots and the dirt can soak it up from the bottom. The reason for that is because if you pour it onto the top, it's real easy to accidentally get the water on the leaves, and then it kind of burns the leaves, and that doesn't make the plant look pretty. You don't need to water violets all that often. Maybe once a week. They don't need lots of water. You know, whenever I water my violets, it reminds me of a story. Would you like me to tell it to you? Okay, I will. It's so good to see you again. Come up for a visit, my friend. There's so much to do. I have so many things planned for you. We'll laugh and we'll play, we'll sing and we'll pray. I'll tell you a story or two, and we'll be friends, you and I. Yes, you and I and Jesus. I'm happy you're here once again. It's so nice to have you as my friend. Are you ready for the mystery word game? Remember, the key word comes on this side. The important letter jumps out and comes over into the correct spot of the mystery word. It looks like today's word has 9 letters. And see how quickly you can get it figured out, okay? Our story. Priscilla grew up in a rich family. She had so many clothes, toys, dolls, shoes. She just couldn't even keep track of it all. But in spite of how much she had, she was often very unhappy. And she was often not too nice to be around. She hated sharing. She didn't like helping. And with her friends, like if one person said, "Oh, I like your hair," to someone else, then Priscilla would get all jealous that they didn't say it to her. And that just made her not very nice to be around. And as parents often do, her parents started to notice that, and it made them concerned. So one day her mom said, "Priscilla, come with me into the dining room." So they went into the dining room, and her mom said, "See these flowers, Priscilla?" And of course Priscilla had seen these flowers every day. They always had gorgeous arrangements on their table. And then her mom said, "Look at them carefully." So Priscilla looked. She wondered what her mom was up to. Then her mom said, "Smell them." So she smelled them, and then her mom said, "Priscilla, put on your walking shoes and let's go for a walk." Right down on her knees, and she looked, and then she looked again, and she said, "Mom, they're violets, and they're beautiful. You ought to see the petals. They're almost like velvet, and they even sparkle." And then she got right down and smelled them. Oh, and they smell so sweet. And then her mom said, "Priscilla, don't you think it's just a waste that they're down in under that tree?" And Priscilla said, "Why, no. That's the way God made it. That's where they belong." And her mom said, "But nobody ever sees them, Priscilla. What good do they do down there?" And she said, "Well, I saw them and they made me happy." And then her mom said, "Well, what about the flowers on the dining room table? Weren't they much more beautiful than these ones?" And Priscilla said, "Well, Mom, I think these ones are just as pretty as those ones." And her mom said, "Oh, but those ones were in a beautiful vase, and they were just so perfectly arranged. These ones are just out in amidst the twigs and the rocks and stuff." And Priscilla said, "Mom, these ones are just as beautiful. This is the way God made it." And then Priscilla's mom said, "Okay, Priscilla, I believe you, but I want you to tell me what lessons you can learn from that." And Priscilla thought for a minute, and then she said, "Well, maybe that it's okay to be pretty whether people see you, like on the dining room table, or whether they don't see you, like down under a tree." And then Priscilla's mom said, "Well, that's a good thing. Do you think, Priscilla, that it could also apply to things that we do?" And Priscilla thought for a moment, and then she said, "Yeah, Mom, I think it could." And then Priscilla looked at her mom and she said, Mom, are you trying to teach me something from these little violets? And her mom said, well, Priscilla, maybe you, but I think we can all learn lessons from little violets.
Pretty little violet, you do your best all of the time. Quiet little violet, you live the Christ-like way. You brighten every day, living the Christ-like way.
I think we can learn some important lessons from those little violets, can't we? The lesson of humility is a good one for all of us to learn. Should we look that up? Well, I think I'll use the computer today. Let's see. Humility comes from the root word of humble, and that's spelled H-U-M-B-L-E, humble. And it means not proud, modest. Boy, someone who's not proud, that sounds like the nice kind of friend to have, doesn't it? You know, the Bible talks about that too, and it tells us the results of being proud or the results of being humble. In Proverbs 18, verse 12, it says, before his downfall, a man's heart is proud. So if you're proud, you'll have a downfall. But humility comes before honor. So if you want honor, let's be humble. Shall we look at some ways of showing humility? There's lots of ways. Are you ready? Helping someone on the playground is sure a nice thing to do for them. And if you let someone else have the best doll to play with, that's another way to show humility. Or how about doing up your little sister's buttons? It keeps her happy and it helps lighten your mom or dad's load. Picking up litter might seem like a boring job, but it sure makes the world look nicer. And by holding a ladder steady for someone, you help them get the job done safely and well. Speaking of important jobs, meet me in the jungle forest because I have something to show you. Come here, I want to show you something, okay? Do you know what scientists call the most humble and unappreciated creature? You ready to see? I'll show you. Here he is, Mr. Earthworm. You know, some people don't like earthworms, and it sure is too bad because earthworms are very important. They wiggle through the soil, just gobbling it up as they go, and they keep part of it for themselves to live on, and then the rest of it, there's a special enzyme in their stomach, and that changes the rest of the dirt, and then they give it off in what's called earthworm castings, and that is very important for plants. Earthworm castings are up to 5 times richer in nutrients than regular soil. Mr. Worm, you can go down there. And plants, of course, need those nutrients. I have this little vitamin bottle here, and I'm going to get some out. They're not coming out, are they? I need to open the bottle, and then I could get some out. There we go. And that's kind of what earthworms do to the nutrients that are locked up inside the soil. You see, it's like coming along and opening up the bottle so the plants can get at the vitamins. Earthworms do lots of other things too, but I don't have time to tell you about them today.
Hey kids, if you love all the fun things you get to do with Janice and her friends, you'll flip over this. It's Janice's activity book. Loaded with fun, this book teaches scripture through mazes, puzzles, dot-to-dot games, coloring, and more. And the best part is, it's free! Let's take a look inside. The scripture on this page says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Now, let's circle the pictures that are the same. That's right, you've got the idea. There are many more fun-filled activities in this book just waiting for you. By the way, did I mention it's free? To get your very own copy, have your mom or dad write to Janice's Attic Activity Book, care of 3ABN, P.O. Box 220, West Frankfort, Illinois 62896, or call 1-800-752-3226. Don't wait, order yours today.
You know, sometimes it's the littlest things that make people happy. And I thought today that I'd like to show you just a real simple flower that you can make at home. Now, I'm using tissue paper, but you can use any kind of paper and just cut 2 pieces, the same size, a square or a rectangle, and then fold it in half, and then fold it in half again, and then fold it over this way to make like a triangle shape. Triangle shape at the bottom, and then if you want you can fold it even one more time, and then you need your scissors, and like I said, you can use any kind of paper, but this thin kind of paper makes it kind of extra fluffy. Take your scissors and make a half circle. You just want to make a nice, these are for the petals, nice pointy petals, and then open it out like this. Get it all, these papers are so thin. And then you want to turn it like this so that your petals are kind of opposite, and then hold it up like this and stick your finger down in the middle like that, and then twist it down here at the bottom. You know, people like to get little surprises, and maybe you can't always go buy flowers at a store, and maybe you live in an apartment and you don't have flowers growing in your yard or garden. And so these are just some simple flowers that you can make as a little surprise. Now we need a stem for our flowers, don't we? Let's poof them out, kind of. Okay, we need a stem, and you can use practically anything to make a stem. You can use a straw, a stick, wire, anything. I just happened to have some straws around, and so I used a straw, and then I covered it with green masking tape, just regular green masking tape. And if you didn't have green, you could color the masking tape green after you wound it around the straw. And so I wound the tape around the straw. Pipe cleaners make a really good thing to use for a stem too, because they're kind of like wires, and you can bend them into the shape that you want. And then I cut off just a little piece of masking tape to attach the flower at the top. Get it all attached. And then we need to make a leaf, because flowers have leaves. Okay. There we go. And I just made some leaves out of some wires, and I put the masking tape on them to make it wide, and then cut it into the shape. But you can make a leaf out of paper. You can make it just about out of anything. I think I'll put it about this high, and then wind the tape around so it'll stick. You know, the important thing is just to try doing it, because I'm sure you'll be able to figure out a way. This is one I already made that's blue. I think I'll put him in there. And I'll put my pink one in here. There. And then I just put some styrofoam in a pot to poke them into it, but you can put them in a paper cup, practically anything. Just the littlest things make people happy, and I think that's why God gave us hands, and why He gave us minds, to think of little things that we can do for people, and He gave us eyes to notice little things that people need done for them.
God gave me eyes, God gave me hands to make a simple treasure. God help my heart to understand the love of simple pleasures. It's the little things we do each day that help us love each other. It's the little things that show the way to make somebody glad. Let's make somebody glad.
Into the bouquet, it makes it look rather natural and kind of finished, like it came from the garden. Hi, Janice.
Hi, darling.
How you doing?
Fine. Hi, Stephanie. Well, thanks for inviting us to come.
Well, I'm so happy you came.
I heard you telling Stephanie as I was coming in, you put green at the bottom.
We put it in Oasis. I soak that in water. It takes up a lot of water. Then I can put the flowers in it, and it'll keep them fresh, and it keeps them in place where I put them.
It's like a sponge.
So
that's
looks
why
like a
it's so
sponge. It works like
and
a
it
sponge.
holds them in place.
Right. We always cut the flowers with a diagonal. That helps them uptake more water.
Oh, cutting them diagonally across. Then they take more water.
Right.
What are these ones called?
Those are called stock. Did you smell them?
Oh, that's so nice. And then those are tulips, and what's this
That's an iris that's not quite open, so it's kind of hard to tell what it is.
In your work as a florist, what does it seem to you that people usually get flowers for what occasions?
Well, you know, the heaviest sale of flowers is Mother's Day.
Really?
And the next is Valentine's Day. So this must be a girl thing, huh? But we do flowers for all occasions. Anniversaries and birthdays and Christmas and Thanksgiving. And I think it's nice just to give flowers for no occasion.
I think you're right.
So-
Just out of the clear blue, just
Right. Just because.
just to say I love you.
Right.
Flowers are such a nice way of doing that because they're so beautiful. What are these ones?
Those are called chrysanthemums. These are white chrysanthemums. These are yellow. These are cushions. And
So you did your tall ones, and now it looks like you're doing kind of a lower layer.
Doing the lower layer.
Is it important to have, like, to fill in all the different areas, sort of?
Well, you kind of do. There's a way you have a line, and then you do a filler. This happens to be an informal design, and so it's a little bit kind of just anything goes. But there are formal arrangements where you put in the top one and then the side ones, and makes a very special arrangement.
Are you interested in being a florist when you grow up, Stephanie?
Yes, I am.
It looks like a fun work. Do you enjoy your work,
Oh, I
Darlene?
do. I love flowers, and I love arranging them.
Oh, God has made them so beautiful.
Hasn't he, though?
But you know, we're wondering, do you have to wait till you're grown up to make flower arrangements?
Oh, no. And in fact, many times when I do a wedding and my little grandchildren come around, they make little arrangements with me, and one is 2 years old.
Oh, that's
He has a
wonderful to know.
wonderful time
see?
doing it. So,
Well, you know, we really need to be going because we have to meet Dr. Neblett. But
oh, let me give you some flowers. Perhaps you
okay,
could
I'd
take and
love
arrange
to.
yourself.
Okay. Ooh. Oh, we'll have fun with these, won't we? Do you have any idea what it will? Can you tell us what it will look
this one
like?
out here, I've already
Okay.
finished. That looks like this.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for having us, Darlene.
Well, thank
and
you for coming.
Bye,
Our
Stephanie.
pleasure. Bye-bye.
Let's go see Dr. Neblett, okay? Hi, everybody.
Hi, Janice. Those look like beautiful flowers you have there.
Aren't they gorgeous? I was just visiting Darlene, and she gave them to me. She had made just a really nice arrangement, and these are just the leftovers.
Those flowers look pretty all by themselves, but put together in an arrangement like that, that's even prettier.
I'll say, well, what are you guys up to anyways?
Well, we're making an arrangement here, too, with some fruit.
A fruit arrangement.
That's right, and it's beautiful, don't you think? Shantae right now is working on the bananas, and Jana's over there working on the oranges. Now, if you think that this is a good choice, what would you think of this choice here?
Well, it looks kind of good. Are you telling me it might not be a good choice, though?
I don't think so. You know, the way that God made something, he put in here flavor, which is sweet.
Flavor,
But this has in sugar, which is not good for our teeth. Actually, it doesn't help keep us strong either. God made apples that have a lot of fiber in them. See, I could squeeze that hard and I can't get anywhere. You try that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's firm.
But take a look at what I do over here.
Oh, my. That's just practically air.
Practically air and a lot of oil and grease that's in there.
and
Not very good
sugar.
for us at all.
Ooh,
You have the
doesn't sound very
sugar,
tasty.
you have the oil, and you even have preservatives. That helps to keep these looking fresh for a long time, even when they really haven't been fresh for a while.
Oh, not very pleasant.
I think that there's a good way for us to remember how to figure out what things are
Okay.
good for us.
What's that? I like easy rules. Will it be easy?
It'll be an easy rule. First of all, we've already seen that if there are lots of different colors, that's good. But the other thing is that it grows. It grows on trees,
Okay.
or it even grows out on the ground.
Okay. That's a good way to remember.
Now, if you look back here, you'll notice that we have something growing on our tree.
Donuts.
Yes. What do you think about that? They grow, or do they?
Well, Dr. Neblett, the only problem with that is that that's not a real tree. That's just a pretend tree that I have there for decoration.
You're right. That's exactly right. These don't grow on trees. As a matter of fact, we put them there.
I know, a man did just before we started.
They are man-made. I would rather eat something that God made, because what God makes is much better for me than what man
I'll
makes.
say, yeah. So these simple fruits, you know, each one is just simple by itself, but they're so important.
And added together, they make for a beautiful
Beautiful
arrangement.
salad. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I appreciate you telling us about that.
Did you know that one of the best ways to become a good friend of Jesus is by spending personal time with him every day? Well, adults do that by praying and by reading their Bibles. But if you can't read, it's kind of hard, isn't it? Or maybe you just like listening to tapes. Well, here's a fun way to have your very own devotions every morning when you get up. Janice has made these morning time devotions for her kids and for you, complete with songs, prayers, and stories. For more information, have your parents write to Morning Time Ministries, Box 208A, Kitwanga, that's Kitwanga, British Columbia, V0J2A0, or call 1-800-263-7671. Here's the number again, 1-800-263-7671.
God gave me eyes, God gave me ears to see the life I'm living. God help my heart to understand and share the love you've given to the young and old, the black and white, moms and daddies too, my neighbors and my friends at school, to love somebody new, to share God's love with you. God give me eyes, God give me ears to see the life I'm living. Please help my heart to understand and share the love you've given, to share the love you've given.
Are you ready for another story?
Yes.
Now remember, all these mysterious things have been happening. Everything from the noises in the cave to horses and boats disappearing and coming back. And now the most recent thing was Roy had planned to surprise old Corky by finishing tarring his boat. And would you believe, when Roy got there to do it at 5:30 a.m., it was already done. Roy pinched himself, he slapped his cheeks, and he rubbed his eyes because he couldn't figure out who had done it. And so then he went racing pell-mell down the beach, and he went to old Corky's house. Well, old Corky was still sound asleep. And Roy waited around, and finally when old Corky got up, he said, "Old Corky, did you get up in the night and do your boat?" And old Corky said, "No, I didn't." Nobody could figure out who had done it. And then while they were still trying to figure out that, something else happened. A fisherman's wife had been out on the fields gathering peat. And when she came home from gathering peat, her only clock had disappeared. Now, she was very upset because you need a clock, don't you? Now, it was true that the clock hadn't been working very well, but nonetheless, she still didn't want her clock to be gone because she could have gotten it fixed. Well, Roy figured that it had to be one person who was doing all these things. Somehow he thought that all these things were connected. But many people in the village said, "It can't be people, it's got to be angels." But Roy was sure it was one person. Furthermore, he was starting to suspect a boy by the name of Pete. Pete Malcolm was a quiet boy who didn't really mix with the other village kids very much. He stayed by himself a lot, and so Roy was suspicious that it might be him. Well, he had seen him on the peat fields the same day that that fisherman's clock had been stolen, and that's why he thought it might be him. So Roy decided to go out hiking, looking for clues. And do you know, when he was out hiking, he was up on one of the fields, which was kind of in behind and above where the cave was. And he was walking along, and he tripped on something. And he looked down, and lo and behold, at his feet was a rusty clock spring from a clock. Now, being the detective that he was feeling like he was, he put it in his pocket, and he decided not to tell anybody about it. Well, he went back home and he was just thinking everything over, and he planned the next day that he was going to do some really serious searching. But do you know, the next day it was a terrible storm and he couldn't even go out. Well, he decided to take some time and spend some time in his uncle's store, because he had been so busy since he came to Longview Village that he had hardly even been in his uncle's store much at all. And so he went into the store sometime during the morning and he started to look around, and it was so interesting. That was the kind of store that you sold everything in one store. It was called a general store. There were brooms, there were dishes, there were big old kegs full of nails and screws and nuts and bolts. There were ladders, there was cloth, there was food, you know, and big barrels with pickles in them and different things. And oh, there was another shelf that had jars of candy on them. Everything you could imagine was sold in that one store. Oh, big old overalls for men to wear and raincoats. Well, off in one corner of the store was a pot-bellied stove, kind of like mine. And you can imagine that on this rainy, windy day, this stormy day, many people, when they would come into the store, do you think they felt like going back out of the store afterwards?
No.
No, they didn't. And so they would end up just kind of finding a chair and kind of cozying up next to the pot-bellied stove. And do you know that they all started talking? And what do you think they talked about? The things that had been happening. And one old lady would say, well, I think it's got to be angels. And then another old man would say, huh, I think it's just some spies out in the cave or something. And someone else would say, the cave doesn't have anything to do with it. It's just, well, we just don't know what it is. And they were all just chatting back and forth, and everybody was, some person would say, well, I think I heard this about it, and someone else would say, but I saw so-and-so over there, and someone else would say, well, you know, and they were just all chatting back and forth. And Roy was having the time of his life, going from this group of people to this group of people and asking this question, asking that question, because he was getting so much information. When all of a sudden, the door to the store just blew open, and in burst none other than Dr. Samuel McGregor. Are you wondering who he is?
Yes.
Next time, I'll tell you. Did you get your mystery word yet?
Yep.
It's earthworm. That's an interesting one, isn't it? You know, remember we talked about the earthworms being so important, and yet most people don't think they are? I hope that you'll do your jobs this week just like an earthworm does. Do them even if people don't notice. Just do them well. I'm looking forward to seeing you next time, okay?